Okay, so this is his piece. I'll just critique it for him because it is his B-day, so I don't know why I'm gifting people with the gift of Istebrak. That's so cocky. But today I'm going to be focusing on something, a very common thing between all of these, which is, actually there's one more that has this issue too. Let me get it. And that's making your characters look older than they really are. This happens a lot. And it's all in the chin, so I feel like I should spend an extra day on this, chin stuff. Because what happens is that, yeah, I've talked about the ogre and the elf, and I've talked about those particular things, but the thing is, they still look beautiful, but they just don't look young. And they look organically old, meaning like that's how they actually look like if they were to have aged. Now, I don't know if you would be going for that in your images or your illustrations or your character designs, because it's important that when you draw a character, you don't make them look older than they really are. And only to the trained eye do we really notice that they're looking old. The trained eye can really pinpoint it and really see right away. But for the untrained eye, it'll just slip right under the table. You guys won't notice that your character is looking old. And it's all in the chin. Even if you did everything else beautifully, there's still something off, and it is the chin. So this character here, when you do anime and realistically drawn anime, yeah, you're going to draw a cute little face, even if she's got humongous bazookas, because that's just how that genre works. So for this character, literally all we have to do is tuck her chin inward and get rid of that sort of extra cheek bulge over here, because that was also accredited to that sort of work toward the chin, that fall toward the chin, and then tuck her nose back in this way just a little bit. Stupid liquify. No. Okay. So let's look at what just happened. Before, after. What is the biggest difference here? Can anyone tell me? Less baby face? Less baby face? Chin to lip ratio, or chin length. Length of face. Yes, Jinx has it. Length of face. The length of the face was decreased, meaning that the surface, the actual size of the head shrunk down. Also, I reinforced the triangle. So the size of the head affects the cuteness triangle in a lot of ways. So it's the length of the triangle. So I told you before, if you want to make a beautiful woman, you just have to make the triangle longer. But if you want to make a cute baby, the triangle is more I think it's called a right triangle. No, actually that's not. I don't know what it's called, but it's just like perfect angles, all the same angles on all sides. This is sort of the baby face, the cat. This is the ultimate cuteness, the Nar face, the Timo face. Fuck Timo. And this is sort of the mature lady face, but still beautiful. Okay? Equilateral. Thank you. Equilateral triangle. So right here is sort of where you had your chin, but you have your eyes with these kinds of eyes. And the nose was this kind of nose. So you had the upper half of this triangle and the lower half of this triangle. This means that you had this cute face, but the lip was all the way down here, and the chin was all the way down here. That's how your face looked before. Please remember that if you're going to go for a specific cuteness level, make sure that you're actually measuring it mathematically. So if you think you're going to escape maths by doing art, you're wrong. You literally have to just get the actual line and start drawing triangles on the faces to make sure that you're not screwing up what the triangle is telling you to do. If you are doing half this triangle and half the other triangle, you paint it realistically, you will get the all famous uncanny valley. It's going to look uncanny. It's going to have like these really cute eyes but this like massive chin, and then you're like, is it fat? Is it old? I don't know. The result of that is we're only going to ever see it as an aged character. The character is going to look old. Alright? So does everybody get what I just talked about? Is there anything confusing about it? So before, after. Much cuter, little bit off. It's like, what happened? You know, is it beautiful? Is she older? I don't, what's happening? She's got the cute eyes and the cute nose and the cute lips, but then you've got this really large chin shape. So what did I do essentially altogether? Can anyone repeat what I just said? Or repeat what I just taught? Just in a sentence or two. Shorten the facial triangle. Yeah, that was one of the things that I did, but what was the lesson? What was the warning, the caution? I showed caution in something. What was it? Make the face less triangular? No, no, no. There's no decrease in triangles. This is why I ask for you guys to repeat what I say. I want to make sure that you guys aren't misunderstanding me. You keep the triangle. There's no loss of triangle. It's just the kind of triangle, long or short. And then there is the fact that you cannot mix triangles together. Yes, bass animation. Don't do part of one triangle and part of the other. You're mixing in two different age groups, two different kinds of uniquenesses, unique qualities, two different kinds of cutenesses. So you cannot mix those two together. You'll get something that looks off. All right. The next thing was the length. The result of this mixing caused the lips and the nose to be far away from each other. So the lips and the nose are very far away. Take a look at where it was before. Do you see that length, that distance between the upper lip and the nose? That's a sign of age. All right? That's an age sign. Let me show you what I mean. Google.com. Old person, young person. Let's see if they have like side by sides. Images. Okay, this is perfect. So look at the distance between this lip and this nose and this lip and this nose. Is it an equivalent distance? No. This person looks very, very young. Kind of has old, like this person's face is kind of unique in its own way, but do you see what I mean? When you have it's just gonna read like that. I know you didn't draw an old person, but that's just what happens. That's what our brains know, and that's what our brains are gonna get the feel off of your drawing. If there is a big distance between this lip and the nose, it's gonna be a sign of age. Just like bringing in a line and putting it beside the nose, the laugh line, that's also a sign of age. All right? I feel like I make this mistake a lot. I need to see a whole thing about this. So any questions at all? If you exaggerate further, it looks like an ape. Yes, it does. Alright, so this face, though a little bit more generic, is a lot more focused. See where that cheek was going, or where that nose was going, was not working. Even function-wise, even anatomy-wise, that face was not looking right. Okay. What about middle-aged? Got any tips for that? In drawing, we have such a small margin between young, old, and old, old. So it's either you're using the signifiers or you're not. There's also the fact that if you are drawing a middle-aged person and you really want to get their likeness, it's the common thing to do, and the common sense thing to do, I mean, is to bring in a reference. But if you are drawing from your head, from stuff that you know, from your visual library, middle-aged is like from 20 to like 35. That's what middle-aged and young is. From 20 to 35, you're pretty much drawing the same face. There is no way to really, really create a distinction without depending too much on the age signifiers. So the fact that you might bring in this line and create a distance between this lip and this lip. And that'll make the person look old, and the wrinkles and the tired eyes and these lip sags. So all of that will make a character look old, and also like a dog. So if you're using those signifiers, your character is going to look old. Middle-aged, what I mean is too particular in age to pinpoint it by anything. So it's either you're using the age signifiers a little bit and then your character's going to look like they're 40, or you're trying to draw a young girl but you kind of want to make her look mature, so you're giving her some eye bags. She's going to look like she's in her early 30s, but not really, because she just looks like a tired 18-year-old. Do you see what I mean? It's a very, very particular little thing that you guys, it's either you go for cute, go for long triangle or small triangle. You're going to hit the mature age if you draw the long triangle. Your character is going to look mature. Even if you, let's say, do the long nose and the anime thing. If you do this, your character will look like a really, really pretty 30-year-old, let's say. Like, let's think about it the way anime does it. Sometimes when they want to make someone look old, they either place, tiny little signifiers of age under the eye, and one tiny one, not all the way around here, because that's just going to look, she looks like she's 80 all of a sudden. Alright, you don't want to do that. You want to just place a tiny little line beside the lips to show a growing laugh line that grows and eventually stretches up to here and they hit 80. You see, it's a very delicate thing, but you still have to keep these proportions. You cannot bring in the ogre too early, because if you bring in the ogre too early, then you're going to have a very young looking ogre, which is again very, very uncanny. There's very little rules that you can break when it comes to the beauty and the non-beauty. So be careful with that. Okay, a couple of other things with this image. Generally, your anatomy is spot on, measurements wise. So it's fine. I would just bring this down just a little bit because I don't want to make her face look like a pointy chin. That does not look right. I want to show that the neck is connected with fat and muscle toward the head and the jawline. Then there's the symmetry. So so before, after, a little bit more anatomy. So literally, when you're doing a 3/4 view, all you really have to do is just shrink the eye and compress the eye. There's no foreshortening, so it's not going to shrink in size. It's just going to shrink in length. So if you want to do a 3/4 view, you just get this eye and then shrink it in length and try to fit everything in a compressed version. There's no foreshortening, so it's not going to shrink in size. This means that all you really have to do is shrink this eye and tuck this side of the cheek in and represent the edge, meaning that the lines, the horizontal lines, won't change. They stay the same. So this eyebrow is still on the same level, unless she's like tilting for some reason, but that's not right because the camera is beneath her, or a little bit under her pointing up. So what we're seeing here is a misunderstanding in the symmetry line, and you have this problem a lot, Jacob, from what I remember from your other critiques. So think of it like this. You have a circle, a ball, and you're looking at it straight so that the lines on it are perfectly straight and parallel to each other. If you rotate the ball, will you really notice? If the ball is on a rotating platform, will you notice that the ball has rotated if it's like a perfectly smooth surface and you've got 3 black lines? Unless you change your perspective, so unless you stand up and the lines start to look curved, you won't tell that the ball has rotated. So from front view to 3/4 view, you won't tell. So front view, which is 1/1, so basically like everything is visible, and then 3/4 view, there's no difference if the ball is not on a perspective tilt. So this head really isn't on much of a perspective tilt right now. Not that big a perspective tilt, unless the camera was down here staring up at the face. So that means that the horizontal lines working on this face cannot tilt, so meaning this eyebrow has to stay on the same line as this eyebrow. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay, so this eyebrow needs to be lifted. The eye was enlarged because of that, so I have to shrink it. Okay, so just imagine it as a line, and that's where the other eyebrow sits. It's very, very mathematical. If you spend more time measuring, you're not going to face these kinds of problems after you've rendered. So this person is done with rendering, and look at all the problems that are present, that are really obvious. It's very difficult to get away with a bad measuring job. It'll show. It'll show when you're done rendering, I promise. There's no way to get out of it. It's going to show right away. So please remember that the simple maths of it they're very important. Cannot skip them. Just trying to make sure the eye corners, everything is on that line. Everything has a line that's shared because that's symmetry. And symmetry is function when it comes to the human face. Symmetry is very, very important. If you miss out on the symmetry, you'll create something that's uncanny. And at that point, you've pretty much failed at the portrait if you're not getting the basics of the portrait, which is the symmetry. Symmetry is one of those basics you cannot ignore. Okay, so let's take a look at the before and after. Before, after. So a bunch of little rules and a very small change. But this change, if you don't have these issues, it means you have a big, massive, great, and really solidified understanding of the human face. It means you know that there are rules you can't break when it comes to the human face. But because you have these issues, I feel like if you do draw a nice face, it's a fluke of sorts. And I don't want you to accidentally draw a nice face. I want you to know exactly what you did in order to achieve that nice face. And following these simple rules will really do it for you. It'll really take your images to the next step. And investing some study hours onto symmetry and the basic anatomy and all of that will really help you avoid these kind of beginner mistakes. I know that's not a nice term to label on to anything, but if you're capable of illustrating a full image just like this and you're making these kinds of mistakes, it means there's some basic studies you skipped. There's like a class that you skipped, and that class was talking about symmetry. So go back to that and try to get that basic knowledge set up. Just don't want to take away from your details. Okay, stuff that I really like is the way you did the hair. It's really great. I don't know, like if you've been studying hair or whatever, but beautiful, beautiful, balance between the mid-tone and that glow that you have. Really, really nice. I really like it. Really pretty. Nice use of the small brush to show the scattered hairs. So these, really, really nice. And good use of the large brush. So there aren't many remnants of textured brushes, which is nice as well. So you've continued the general soft texture or the hard brush texture. Good job on the arms. I think you looked up a reference for that. But the hand could use some work. Try to find a more loose and more fluid hand gesture. So I'm not sure what she's holding up, but maybe one pinky could be like sort of up while the rest are holding the ticket or whatever it is. Instead of using, it kind of looks awkward if you use all your fingers to hold up something as small as a paper. Like, have you ever done that? Like, you've used all your hand to hold up a paper. It's just weird. It's used all your fingers. You don't really need that much. Sometimes you need the two fingers. So find something else to do with these fingers to sort of make the gesture more organic, more real, and more fluid. All right. Hide the hands. Problem solved. Only really important papers. Any tips for that symmetry thing? What do you mean, tips? What do you mean by tips, Steph? Draw the cool kid. Hands in pockets. Only paint hands behind the back of the figure, or behind a rock, or in the hair, or... Yeah. Like on both sides. How to keep the symmetry. I do have a video on YouTube about how to draw in 3/4 view. But other than that, that's all I really have available on my channel. But for now, everything that I've talked about today is a tip about symmetry. I'm not sure exactly what you're, like a study tip? Do you mean study tip, Daph? Oh, did you? I'm sorry. What I was talking about is, so if you want to draw a face that is 3/4 view, and you want to make sure that the face proportions are the same size and the symmetry is intact, you just have to make sure you have these lines here. These lines help you keep the face symmetrical. So this corner of this lip and this corner of this lip have to stay on this line. Alright, if the face is curved, so if you're looking up at the face, the lines all curve the same way. Alright, so lip corner, nostril, nostril, eye corner, eye corner. So this doesn't have to be straight, you just have to make sure they're on the line. So you've got something like this. Oh, I screwed that up big. It's okay. Alright, I messed it up, but it's okay. Forgive me, because if you don't, I'll ban you. Alright, so this is pretty much what I mean by the lines, is that the lines help you keep everything kind of straight. Not straight as in the line, but straight as in if you were to stare at it front view, everything would sit on the same horizontal line. Okay, as for the compression can be eyeballed. Just make sure this eye is not the same width as this eye. So if you're doing 3/4 view and you're thinking about this eye, okay, what do I do with this eye? I know it can't be the same size or else it'll look like the person is staring front with the two eyes and the nose only has one side and the lips have one side. You can't do that. You have to make this eye right here. If this eye is 5 centimeters, the 3/4 view eye, which is this one, has to be like 3 centimeters. It is not shrunk in length. The length is the same. The L is the same, okay? This is the same. The width is what is changed. You compress it width-wise. If you compress it length and width, what happens is you'll shrink the size, and that's called foreshortening, and foreshortening does not happen in 3/4 view. Everybody write that back to me. I want to know everybody has learned this. Everybody write that back. What did I just say? Compression, but not the perspective tilt. Yes. When do we have, because can anyone tell me, foreshortening doesn't happen in 3/4 view, front view, not in 3/4 view. Foreshortening doesn't appear in 3/4 view. No foreshortening. Man, I have sinned. Uh, no foreshortening in 3/4 view. Only less width, exactly. No less length. Foreshortening is good for making cookies. Vegetable shortening. Is that what you're talking about? You're compressing the width. Foreshortening doesn't happen in 3/4 view, which means you're not compressing the length. It stays the same. It's sitting on the same lines. Only shorten width, not height. Good, good, good. Oh, this is a cool channel. Never seen anything like this. Oh, that's cool. Thank you. Also, foreshortening is a bitch to draw. When you look up or down. No, that's not when there is foreshortening in 3/4 view. Not even when you look up or down. It's if the camera is right beside the person's eyeball. Like if you have the camera so close that the other eye looks like it's like this far away. So this is a foreshortening in both, and the nostrils are flared up because that's only crazy people put the camera beside their eyes. So that's that's a given. There's gonna be nose hairs and shit. It's crazy. All right. There's gonna be a crazy little lip. It's gonna be like hi. All right. So so only if there is a perspective tilt. So this is called the perspective tilt right here. Meaning this is going to reach a vanishing point somewhere in the distance over here. And that's the only time that this will happen. Why does foreshortening even happen? It happens when there is a significant distance between this object and this object. So a camera being really close to the eyeball creates the feeling of a large distance between this eye and this eye because it's so close to this and it's shrunken itself. So if you're an ant and you're walking on this eyeball will look like it's like far away from you. It'll look like the end of the parking lot compared to where you are if you were an ant. So at this point, the camera is like the size of an ant, really close to your eyeball. And that's when you have foreshortening. But who draws an eye this close to the camera anyway? If you're a portrait artist, if you're a character artist, you're going to have to draw pretty distant solid character designs if you're working in that part of the industry. So I hate calling it industry, but whatever. Um, that's the only time it'll happen. So repeat again to me. There is no foreshortening in three-quarter view. There is only compression, width compression only. Three-quarter view equals width. What's the mathematical sign for compression? Fuck, I know it. Whatever. Compression. All right. Three-quarter view equals width compression. All right. We're done with that. So please remember this. If you don't do it, you will have bad drawing. You will have bad draw. Merge down. Actually, let's take another before and after. Before. After. All right. Okay. All right. So another age issue over here. Actually, I'll touch on this one after. The age issue is in this one and this one. Another thing that causes age is this character looks old. Even though she has no old signifiers, even though you have all of the basic measurements intact. Why does she look old? Can anyone tell me? So this is good, this is good. The lips aren't too wide, the nose isn't too large. Why does she look old? The cheek. Yes, Daff. Good job. The cheek, the sunken inness, the lack of health. Why is this happening to this character? Also, we have the same level in the value, so if I run this color picker over here and run it over here, we're looking at the same area. Same area on the color map. Look at this. These areas should not be that dark. How about these highlights? So not only have you used darks you're not supposed to use, you use highlights that you're not supposed to. You've done a double whammy here. This means that you're just gonna get hanged. You've committed a cardinal sin. You're just gonna get, the Spanish Inquisition is just gonna show up at your door. So let's see why people are thinking she's old. Contrast is high. Thank you, Nutriman. Exactly. High contrast. The shadows have too much contrast because she's an elf. It looks edgy. Harsh lines and no softness. That is a big part of it, Tony, because she has white hair. A little bit of that, but not really. It kind of pushed that last little 5%. Cheek and mouth area aren't connected. I'm not sure what you mean by that. When you get older, your skin wraps around your skull and sinks in. Yeah, the fat is gone. She's bulimic. That's not funny. The contrast is pretty high. It means God is pinching her cute cheeks. Okay. No eyebrows doesn't help either. Exactly. So the lack of the white hair and the lack of eyebrows doesn't really help. She has them, but they're white. Faces are rounder when you have fat, so they look younger. Exactly. Lips don't stick out under the nose properly. All right. A lot of reasons why this character looks old. So you've aged your character here. And the class pointed out that it is because of the contrast. So I am going to get a common mid-tone gray, and I'm going to brush it over everything. Look at the youth. Look at the youth that is just emerging. Do you see that? She looks a lot less old. And yes, there are areas that have shadows on them, but I'll show you how to represent these areas properly. I didn't take out much of the shadows near the eye because you can afford that kind of eyeshadow because that happens in real life. All right, where else do we have? So we've taken down the contrast, and she looks younger, but she's still not there. What is missing? Does someone know? Someone mentioned it. So it was about soft edges and hard edges. So mostly in the features, not much in the blending. So what she's got here, this little bulge, this happens when you get older because your cheeks sink down over your lips, and so the profile is damaged. And you don't have that soft, delicate transition from the cheekbone to the chin. Also, look at where the chin is. And the chin is also very distant. And this little edge here the fact that she might look anorexic, as someone mentioned. This here needs to be blended in a little bit more because we want to show there's fat, a healthy amount of fat on the face. And a very, very soft shadow. So let's just take the before and after from where it is right now. Before, did you really need that much contrast? No. What did it read as? It reads as actual face paint. If you were to take a portrait of a girl and you got this kind of contrast, it means that the makeup artist threw a bunch of dark all over her face. Alright? When you go into color, you're going to have a nightmare. It's just going to be a nightmare when you go into color from this grayscale because you will not be able to add color over this contrast. Over here, yeah, you can. And I have a video about this. And what I basically say in the video is that the skin is a very light gray color. It's a very light gray scale. It doesn't exist in darks. It exists as a brown. And so when you want to change the skin tone into a beige, you're not going to be able to because look how dark that is. You're going to have patches. And again, it's going to look like makeup. Like someone brought tar or that stuff football players place over their face before they play. Alright? There are also other reasons why she looks older. When you get older, your eyebrows always seem to look angry. So you want to not accidentally have an expression. Never. That's like the worst thing to do, is to accidentally have an expression in all of your images. I would rather have a neutral expression that I always do and I can't shake it off instead of an angry expression that I always do and can't shake off. Because an angry expression is always, my characters are always going to look angry. But if it's neutral, I can get away with it because character design doesn't really require much expression until you do the portraits and actual expressions. But you can pretty much get away with it. And I keep taking down this contrast. It's just too high. And I'll show you where you can throw some contrast in a second. And remember, contrast, when it happens proportionately on the face, it happens in very small amounts. What did I just say? Everyone write it back to me. How much contrast happens when it happens? Does it happen a lot? I'm bringing down the contrast right now. I'm not doing any serious changes. Contrast in small amounts, meaning there's only so many areas on the face that are high enough to be that dark and that light. Is the shadow cast by a mountain similar to the shadow cast by a hill? Can anyone answer that question for me? Is it the same kind of shadow? No, it's not. It's not, because the mountain has a higher peak. It gets more light and stands in the way of the light more than the hill. So there are errors. There are hills here and there are mountains here. Some of these areas are never going to be as bright as the nose, never going to be as bright as the cheek, never going to be as bright as the forehead. They're simply not that high, because the nose, cheek, chin, and forehead are all mountains compared to everything else, which is just a hill. Alright, another thing that is aging your character is this line here. What you need to do is fill it in. Again, bring that fat back in, a healthy amount of fat so she does not look health deprived. Do you see how quickly she looked so young? That's one of the biggest reasons why a character looks old. It's this line that I always tell you to avoid. It will always make your characters look old. So those ladies that get those younger, making them look younger, those procedures, they get their eyes done and they get their lips done and their nose done and they forget about this. And I just want to tell them, can you just ask your plastic surgeon to put some fat into your cheek here? You'll look so much younger, but I feel like I'll get punched in the face. So I don't do it. Alright, so now I need to bring in the core shadow. Your nose, your chin cannot be as bright as the nose, and the nose cannot be as bright as the forehead. So we have to create a spectrum right now. We have to fix this in a way where we're representing the right amount of hill versus valley shadows. Okay, just to make sure this is curved with the forehead. Zoom out. So that shadow in between the eyes, you had that well. I didn't take that away. And I'm bringing in that you still have too much contrast even now. I'm just bringing that in. Actually, what you can do to fix it right away is to go to darken, choose a mid-tone, and on the darken layer just throw it. What it will do is bring down all the highlights, but it won't touch the shadows. You see, darken layer is really great for that. Okay, now that we've fixed this, I'm seeing big proportion problems in the head, in the size of the head. She's got like pageant level big hair going on. So I'm just going to shrink her head down. Her head was really big. I'm going to tuck her neck in. A thick neck is very masculine. It'll take away from the feminine. Okay. I'm going to tuck that in just a little bit. We want that nice, cute chin happening. And this eye is a bit distant from everything else, so I'm going to have to push this eye a little closer. Tuck this nose in here. So I'm working with the features you chose. I'm not doing much. So before, after. Do you see how big the head was? So I just brought that down. And now I'm sort of going to bring in the highlights where we do need them. So half the face is always in a shadow, a core shadow. Remember last class I talked about that. Trying my best not to make her look too old. So this cheekbone was really dark. You were really high contrast. It was like right away. And maybe like you're asking yourself, okay, why did I do it such high contrast? What was I thinking? Maybe you were depending on it. Maybe it was your crutch. Maybe you were feeling like you weren't getting enough out of the image, so you just heightened the contrast, and for some reason that worked for you. I'm going to decrease the width of the lips just a little bit because they did look a little masculine. So it might have been a crutch. It might be like a habit that you use all the time to make it read faster. That's not a good habit. It's not going to read faster. It's just going to create really big value mess. And just trying to create like a feminine version of what you did. Trying not to take away from your painting too much. So what I'm saying is try to see how much you can do without jumping into the high contrast right away. Try to force yourself. Okay, so I'll just balance that other lip. You see all of the features sit on straight lines. And now I'm going to bring in the shadows and the highlights where we really need them. So there are definitely some shadows that are needed over here, under the eye, between the eyeballs. Then there is a tiny one under the chin. And we need to make this nose shadow a little bit more delicate and soft. So the further the shadow moves away from the face, the more smudged it is, the more fuzzy it is. So the further the shadow moves away from the nose. And it starts where the nose starts, so it does not start after the nose or before the nose. And that's just sort of just a rule that you just have to remember. This part of the Cupid's bow will get some light on it. Ugh, I hate painting in zoomed in. And this shadow will connect to this one. Okay. What else do we need shadows? We need a shadow on the bottom half of the face like I showed you guys before. A core shadow, treating the face as a sphere. Just like this. And we will interrupt this core shadow. See, we're investing some fat into her face, which is really nice. We will interrupt this core shadow by showing where those mountain peaks are. So there's a mountain peak on her chin, on her lower lip, catching some light, on her cheekbone, traveling up. And see, now I'm going into here, but I'm not in no man's land. You were all the way up here. I'm barely touching this side right now. And I don't even use all that's on my brush. See, that's too much already. It has to be a very, very delicate build up toward the highest point of the mountain. Just like this. Then the tip of the nose. The insides of the eyes. So you see very, very small amounts of, can you finish my sentence? Very small amounts of the brow bone, traveling up into the contrast. Yes, very small amounts of high contrast. To the forehead. And the forehead gets the largest amount because it's a flat surface facing the light. It's going to get the most. Okay, then we have the dark spots we have to reinforce. You guys know what those are. Only the dark spots on the lips will be this dark. You can't throw that dark spot all over the lip. It's just not going to look right. You had this much darkness on here. It was not working. You'll see in a second on the before and after. Okay, so it's the same face. We just followed some rules of physics that happen in the real world. Some basic biology. Just basic color theory. And you might not think there's color theory in grayscale. There's a whole world of color theory in grayscale. Yes, there's a white line around the lips, but again, it's only illuminated where there's light. So only on this part of the lips. I'm going to sharpen this part here. Alright, now about the eyes. I'm not going to touch the eyes you made too much, but I just do want to show you there are bottom lids. So please have a crease for the bottom lid as well. Don't forget about that. Crease for the upper lid. A little bit more contrast up here. Shadow that runs right across the top and beneath the top lid. The shadow of the top lid on the rest of the eye. A more sort of obvious, I guess the word is, dark spot for the eyes. So it can read. Again, this is function that we're reinforcing. Just like this. We want to feel like this character is, their eyes can work and see. Almost done. So the eyes weren't really looking in the same direction, but I don't have time to fix that. This eye will not be as bright as this eye because it is in a shadow. I recommend a darker eye here, and then you bring in the light only where there is light touching the eyeball itself. So there's a shadow across here. So darken everything beneath that. Just a little bit of light on this eye, and a little bit here. Okay, almost done. I'm going to get this new dark spot I just found, and I'm going to darken everything. So we don't darken all at the same time. We eventually bring these dark spots to darkness. You can't know how dark you're going early. You just have to feel your way through the contrast. Okay? Any questions so far? No, I try to explain as I paint, but sometimes I miss some stuff. Any questions before the before and after? Nutriman asks Ista to explain the no man's land to you. What? Nutriman is asking Ista how many steps in value 1 to 10 do you use for this kind of face? Just for the skin. How many steps of value? You mean how I build it up? I usually, okay, let's look at this. I never, ever, 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 ever choose any colors from up here, whether they're colors or whether they are values, unless I know absolutely the material and the contrast and the lighting environment is allowing it. Meaning if I'm drawing gold in the sunlight with 3 spotlights on it, I will choose a gold color for a gold coin that I'm drawing on a character. I will probably choose something from up here, but it will only be on the really light parts of that gold coin. Okay? If I'm painting in grayscale, I will literally just use maybe from here to here. This gradient scale. I never choose anything from down here unless I am doing it strategically. Unless the room is dark enough and is allowing that kind of light. Where I've done this recently is on my most recent painting. I have used colors from the No Man's Land. But if you compare it to like the darkest darks available, let me show you. If you compare it to them, it's really not that deep a black that I use. Even at this point, it's not that deep a black. It's a very, very dark image. So it's allowing me to use from No Man's Land. If I put this on a grayscale, it's a No Man's Land. There's a lot of No Man's Land in here, but the contrast is not that light. You see, I'm not in No Man's Land light, and I'm not in No Man's Land dark. You never really, 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 really need it. It's not gonna happen. So if I do paint anything, if I'm answering this right, I don't even know if I am. It's between here and here. I will go down here if I have to, but it will be on a very small area. Just like I said, high contrast only exists in small amounts. Okay? So I'm just going, I use a soft brush, stupid effing soft brush. So I just have to bring in some detail back to this character. Actually, the face, the hair I didn't touch. It's just the face. So I never ever use that. The reason why No Man's Land is No Man's Land is because white and black are evil. There are no colors that exist in white and black. If no colors exist on white and black, how could you use white and black in a grayscale painting if you're going to eventually get it into color? It's not going to work. Just like I said, the skin is impossible. When you transfer what you had before to color, it's going to be impossible. You're going to have a nightmare. The whole experience is going to be a nightmare because no color exists in white and black. It's impossible. Alright, so before. Big change, I know, but I explained everything. Your character looked aged. It was entering the macabre or the horror genre, which is what you want to do if you want to create a scary, old-looking witch, but is also very beautiful. Like I imagine if they do add in Lady Stoneheart into the Game of Thrones stuff, they're going to do something very similar to this. After. Lot softer. Lot less contrast, but the face is still reading. So this would be her if she was working for Cirque du Soleil. This would be her face after all that makeup. She's just going to the mall and chilling. No spoilers, man. Go read the books. Shit. It's been like 4 years since it started, and the books have been around for like 15 years. Go fucking read the books. Holy crap. Before, after. Next you're gonna tell me Ned's gonna die. Go read the books, you lazy people. No spoilers. Okay, okay. It's painfully beginnerish. Is doing a study where you specifically focus on one thing? Yes, Sybil. When you do a study means you are dedicating all of your mind onto one topic. So if you're studying hands, you're going to be all about the hands. If the hands are too difficult, be all about the knuckles for a day or two. and then be all about the fingernails, and then be all about the cube, and then combine all those together, and then you'll eventually have reached a good understanding of hands if you were just focused on hands only as a whole for a week. So studies are best done when they are, and most efficient when they are done in pieces. Fragment your learning process. So if you're going to do a study on the human face, the first step is to draw a circle, a sphere. Shade a ball. Draw a gray ball. Draw a bunch of gray balls. Draw long gray balls. And draw draw short gray balls. Draw wide gray balls. Okay? And then after you do that, and not worrying about color, you'll know how to add features onto those gray balls. And then oh God, I'm so immature. God, grow up. And then you'll eventually develop a really an appreciation for the core shadow. So you'll never skip the core shadow. And then you'll appreciate the core shadow that comes off the nose on the gray ball, and the eye, and the lips. So everything will start to look like a cube or a basic shape to you. So yes, a study is when you focus on one thing at a time, but you eventually have to combine all those things together. But if you do spend time on the small things, you will do a much better job at applying all those things together. Every time I see genitals now, I'll giggle myself senseless. Everyone giggles when they see genitals. Um, very helpful advice. I'm happy. So does everyone see the difference why your characters have been aged? High contrast ages your characters. I'm not sure. I was going to suggest not going into grayscale too soon, but that's like another class topic, so that's why I skipped this. Doing a large chin ages your characters. You guys, just like here, I'm literally going to tuck the chin in, and then the nose was enlarged because of the chin, so I'm going to shrink the nose. And Ari is sort of fox-like, so she's got the small triangle eyeballs. Remember that triangle that I drew? The small one, the equilateral triangle? That's pretty much the kind of eyes that she has. And I'm just tucking in this chin, and you see this character is a lot cuter and a lot less old looking. So let me tell you something. Art is a very, it's going to sound very pedophile-y, but pretty much 18 to 16 is the cute face that we always draw. Age 18 to 16, 16 to 18. That's pretty much the face we're always drawing. We're a bunch of pedophiles. All right? So art is pain, but it also has a fucking obsession with the young and the cute. So if you look at Ari as a character designed on League of Legends, if you look at every single female on League of Legends, she looks like she's from 16 to 18 with massive boobs. It's a perverted world out there, and if you want to succeed in it, and if you want to create concept art and character designs that look good on a screen and that people want, you're going to have to, you know, like, understand that there is a serious obsession with the young and the cute, and there's a reason why I'm teaching you guys this. I could go ahead and just critique it and keep her looking old, but because she's based off a real character, I'm like, not a real character, but an online character, and because she's sort of you know, you're working off the character design that comes off of that, so it's supposed to be cute. I'm just gonna suggest that you make it cuter. Her head was a bit small. Okay, so this is pretty much the proportions you want. Remember, large head equals cute. Remember a kitten. Kittens have humongous heads compared to their bodies. Same with baby rhinos, and same with like baby elephants. Like anything that's a baby. So that's what I mean when I say we're pedophiles, because that's what we're drawing. We're drawing baby proportions on older females. When it comes to drawing females, that is, in the industry. It's really perverted. Just letting you guys know. Alright, so don't age your characters unless you have to. Very, very realistic proportions, real to life. I've seen people who have this size of head with this size boobs and this size shoulders, but that's not what we're supposed to draw. We're pretty much supposed to draw this. The head was very small, and the head was very aged. So literally think about it. If you've ever seen a character with this kind of feature and this kind of proportion in real life, it's going to look like a 4-year-old girl. 4-year-old girls can look like this, with minus the boobs, and just add a little dress. That's what they look like. So just remember that. It's creepy, but just remember it. Alright? So don't age your characters unintentionally. Before, after. Alright, so any questions regarding today's class before I give you guys some links? Thank you, that was very useful. Following you on YouTube and Facebook now. Looking forward to the next live stream. Thank you, Gletch, for the support. I appreciate it. A little bit of MILF can't hurt anyone. So how old is that one? Right now she's starting to look like she's between 16 and 25. Do images read more attractive when zoomed in than out? Doesn't matter, as long as you're zoomed out and traveling your way in, you'll make sure you have all your core shadows. They will read more attractive in zoomed in and zoomed out if your values are spot on. You have the large values versus the small values, so they're large shapes versus the small shapes, and you have a great balance in your contrast and in your composition. You'll be able to create an image that looks like it'll read even if you zoom out. Istebrak, how do you add smile lines without aging your character? You add smile lines in two areas. Let's make this character smile. You create the compression. So the lip compressed. You see that? There's a fold. And you add, this is an option. This is option 1. You can use them all at the same time. Option 1. Dimple is option 2. Fuck, where's my stupid ass things? Dimple is option 2. And, sorry, I messed that up. Damn it, am I on darken or something? And then there is enlarging your brush and bringing this in. So you do it without a small brush. So the only way you can create this laugh line is by keeping your brush wide. If you keep your brush small, look what happens. I am 45. Alright? So you don't want that. Keep your brush large because you're showing a healthy, collagen-enriched smile that is not a laugh line, rather just fat and muscle compression because of the smile. Okay? Does that answer the question? Yes? Okay. Good. I can't make her smile on what am I doing? Okay. Any other questions? Eyes can wrinkle as well. Yes, definitely. The eyes also close. I forgot to add that in. You can make the eyes compress. And squint. Squinty eyes. Plus squinty eyes. Thank you, Plain Rice. I have a question. Do you accept art from anyone, or do I have to sign up for something or pay a fee? Also, do you take traditionally drawn things? Please remember, I made a video about it. I do not have a registrar. There is no list. There is no, it's open to everyone, young and old, except if you're from Mars. We've already talked about this. But anyone on Earth can join. Okay, I hope that covers it. Yes, I accept traditional. I will not recommend digital fixes, though. I will recommend traditional fixes, of course, because you can't do much with the digital tablet on a traditional painting. Like, unless you, I don't know. No, you do not have to pay a fee. You just come in, sit down, and listen. That's it. Compression was a huge tip. How come I never knew about it? I'm not sure. I think we should get a spray bottle for anyone who asks now. Yes. It's okay, Mia. It's okay. I don't mean to put you on the spot. I just don't want people to think that it's exclusive somehow. It's open to everyone. This is why I host it. What if I'm from Kepler 2.0, though? That's fine, Cranium. There are no stupid questions, people. Hello, do I have to sacrifice an animal for you to critique my art? No, you don't. Someday would be great if we could cover paintings of subsurface scattering. I actually did that a couple days ago, did I not? A couple sessions ago. Anyway, I'll add that, definitely. Let me just take a screenshot of that so that I can remember. The next class is on Tuesday the 28th. That's when we have the next class. And that's it. Thank you everyone for coming. Have a great day. Bye-bye.